Hey everyone, welcome back to Play Casket with another episode of Casket Talk with your hosts, Paraka the Goblin and
Ghost, your co-host.
And this week we need to basically talk about and make fun of, because this is genuinely hilarious, journalism, because it's dying.
Episode 64, Journo Moments.
So overall, we all know, like, you look at anything from like political intrigue to video gaming to movie reviews to even comic books and stuff like that, you can tell that just about everywhere journalism is dying because it's been rotting for like the past 10 12 years, like ever since people were very upset. And it took a hell of a long time to get there. Like, holy crap, right? So, just like all manners of journalism, like just all of them, just all this like major, everyone goes to an office, they come down, they write their little pieces, and then they post on social media what it's like to be a journalist type of crap, all that, you know that? Basically, it's getting replaced with what we call citizen journalism. People just working out of like their apartment and doing their own thing and making their own like coverage on stuff. We're basically citizen journalism when we're really on that. We're not good at it as others, but we still enjoy this crap, and we still enjoy you all for listening to us just rant. So thank y'all. But yeah, it's getting replaced. Just major journalism, just it sucks, because honestly, I think one of the good reasons for it is that they replaced journalism with basically opinion pieces, veiled as journalism. Like like people talking about their sex lives all the time and why you should follow the same thing. And then for some reason, 3 months down the road, she doesn't understand why she can't get a man. And we've seen those memes all the time. Like, it's not just one person. There's like several of these people who get into this like thing where almost everyone who could take a step back and think about it, no, that's not going to end very well for you. And it doesn't end very well for them. And they're befuddled. And people just are tired of that crap. I mean, shit, we've seen a bunch of the crap still going on with, like, Kotaku and Alyssa Mercante for not writing her guides because she wants to get into stuff, but I'll get into that later. But basically, nobody wants to go through that. Nobody wants to watch news in hopes to see what, thing is actually going to be covered, and then they get lambasted by some hyper-reactive moment in the news, like, oh yeah, you want to watch what's happening at your local flea market? Well, you can't yet, because we talk about this one cat killer and he's just so crazy. And they're like, what? Wait, what?
Well, they're reporting on shit that like you don't really care about or you don't need to know about.
And it gets sensationalized to a point where you almost feel like you have to care about it.
Like, where the fuck is this news?
Yeah, there's like so much. There's genuinely stuff like that, honestly. And nowadays, you can just go to the people, like, if you want something on like tech reviews and stuff, there's people reviewing tech.
Yeah.
You immediately get the stuff that you want.
Well, the thing about that too is that they get free access to it.
Yeah.
So it's like they have to talk good about it, otherwise they cut access.
Yeah.
So it's like you won't get a really honest review about it because they want the gravy boat to keep flowing.
Yeah, like that's their bread and butter, so they need to get paid. So they're gonna bloat it up all the time. Why you see a lot of these companies still simp for like major corporations and stuff? Like McDonald's still very poor. Oh, great, you're just poor. Like, it's the stupid stuff like that, right?
Disney.
I'm like, but I'm poor. I'm supposed to be only able to afford McDonald's, but I can't afford McDonald's anymore.
Disney too.
Yeah, Disney, Microsoft, and Sony,
so
like,
hard.
like especially Disney. Holy
Yeah.
crap, dude! Like they're like, yeah, it sounds totalitarian for their rules to have in the retail business, but what it really means for you as the customer, like, you're just being awful. You're just blaming us now, and. Honestly, like, now you can just go to some random dude, maybe even from India. He's like, this stuff is actually very shit, and I'll show you why. And it'll break it down. If you actually see these little two things right here that need to be plugged in, they don't have anything plugged in here. You actually need to get a new wire to make this sound very good. And you're like, holy shit, Beats headphones are actually garbage. And you will have this dude that just breaks this all down for you, and you just subscribe to him. You're like, I know I'm one of probably only 12 dudes who listen to this guy, but this guy is the one thing I need. I trust his words than something that has Kotaku or something that has CNN or something that has like Fox News on it. Like you're not gonna be like, oh, this dude's really hitting the hard journalism. No, they're not. Like, this guy right here is like, I don't care. I'm doing this for free because I'm not getting any type of submissions or anything. I'm not getting paid for this, and literally this is just on my free time.
Yeah.
On top of that, you got a mix of stuff. Sometimes you even have people who do entertainment, but then like entertain you in a very clever way that actually gives you perspective on stuff. Like, we try, but we're not very well known about it, but we try. We do our own thing. But there is people out there, like, I will even say let's plays are basically a good way to do that, honestly. Yeah. Even if you're not creative, if you're doing a let's play, you can tell if a game's not all that like enjoyable while you're playing it and you're having a conversation, and while that content is being made. It's like journalism for the guy. Like, oh, you're recovering. You're basically, researching how bad this game is by literally playing it.
Yeah.
Which is more than you can ever ask for any journalism in gaming. And can't even have them do it to write guides. They literally, like, there's people in Kotaku who have just admitted that they use ChatGPT to write their guides. Like, that's how bad they are. Like, oh, it's not that hard. Just use it. And they're like thinking that they're smart. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Like,
what?
Are you saying that AI could do your job better? Because that's what it says to me,
Well, another crazy thing is that, like, why are they still around? Because most everybody just uses YouTube now, too, for, like...
I think a lot of it is because of just sensationalism. I think that's where a lot of this does come from. Like, I think a lot of the clicks, like, think about it. The ad revenue they get on their site, even if you click it once, is more money than them going to YouTube and getting some money if people watch it. Because if you use an ad blocker there, it won't get as much, even though you might have some kind of, like, what do they call,
ad blocker?
Not just ad blocker, the, wow, words are hard today. No, sponsor. There we go. Like, even if you have a sponsor and you say it in your video and stuff like that, it's still easier to get people to click on a thing and still get the revenue from there. Or you can sell your, like, data on who's clicking where to people, and then they get the information and they sell that too. Like, they get better information if you click onto their site than getting any type of revenue or bonus from a YouTube video.
Which is crazy too, because you'd expect that news would drive rather than clicks. Like, that's all they really give a shit about.
It's emotional. Like, it goes even back even further than this. There used to be a phrase called "If it bleeds, it leads," because they want you emotionally invested in something, and the best way to do it is to either tug on your heartstrings or get you fired up. If it's a happy thing, you're not going to go out and be like, man, did you hear? Man, life is great. No, honestly, most of the time, if something good happens to you, like, even pay attention. Like, even if anything, just remotely, like, you got a bonus chicken nugget in your meal, you're not telling anybody that unless it's like a very close friend or you're right there with them. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not recording anything like that to anybody. Because that positivity isn't like a common ground anymore.
But if they short you one,
But if they short you one, then suddenly people are like, oh yeah, I remember when they shorted me one too. That's horrible, man. Like,
it's never happened to me, but I'm upset about it too if it ever happens. Yeah,
exactly. So I think it ties into that. And honestly, when you look at a lot of like the examples, like good examples of like why journalism's just dying, like fundamentally locally, and we've talked about this before. We've had gang violence on the other side of this town, and we've also had like robberies and stuff. News never speaks of it. The news never mentions anything. It never tells you to be safe in that area or shows anything about. It's just like, good luck. The only reason why we know about it is because other people have had secondhand accounts.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, don't go over there, dude. It is constantly a bloodbath. Do not go over there. And it's constantly happening. Hell, we can even use one that's like a meme now. Remember the Cuphead demo from one journalist who said he was a gamer? and he couldn't finish the tutorial. Like, don't we all remember how bad that looked and how bad it was? I do. That shit was hilarious. But at the same time, like, that's a good example. We're paying these guys, or basically these big companies are paying these guys massive amounts of money, and they're like, oh, you need to cover video games. Sure, boss. They don't know squat about it.
Yeah.
And it's being caught on for multiple of these, like, businesses and stuff. There's people who have, like, this media literacy about movies, and they're like, actually, if you really look at it, the bugs are really a derogatory term and associated with people of color. I'm like, where did you come from with that? You know, like, you have all these weirdo associations that they use to bludgeon people over with, to a point where, like, you get things like Wizard of the Coast changing their things, like, oh yeah, well, we're not gonna use certain language for orcs because that would be non-inclusive, because that would be racist. Orcs don't exist, so how can we do that?
What an odd thing to say.
That's a weird thing to say. You know, like, hell, we even seen that with Helldivers, with people who are like, oh yeah, like, if you really think about it, the bugs are actually a representation of these people, and the robots are more like mindless killers like these people. I'm like, dude, what? Like, honestly, these guys are so brain dead that they just associate everything to the real world, because everything has to be relatable to the real world.
Which I don't.
So for them to enjoy it, they have to have something. So they pick these people because that's how they think, and it is messed up.
Well, even then, though, too, I still don't think they have an audience. I think it's all bots. I think it's all paid for, or at the very least to bloat up their views. They pay one person, $100.
I honestly think it's a lot of the people who are doing this. Not only are, like, baiting for, like, engagement, right? Mm-hmm. But there's probably other people who genuinely believe this because they think their pseudo-intellectualism makes them far smarter than you, and because you don't understand it, I have to talk to you like this about it. And that's literally, I think that's genuinely what it is. When you look at a lot of them, like, it's not just like this, like, regurgitated weird speech that you see in some scripts, but you'll see these guys engage sometimes, and it's just, like, so tone deaf. But when you start thinking about the fact that they have this weird Reddit level pseudo-intellectualism about it, it kind of makes sense why they would act that way. Mm-hmm. So I think a majority of it is they think and they believe they are so much smarter than anyone else in the thing that you have to listen to me, because what you're saying is totally wrong for these reasons, even though they're really tone deaf. Like, they're like, I'm like, yo, whoa, how are orcs people in color, bro? They're green like me.
Well, that's why they wonder why YouTube's beating the shit out of them, because YouTubers built their way up. They have personalities, and, like, they just weren't handed a multi-million-dollar platform.
Yeah,
like, these guys build themselves up, and they have credibility, because if a Journo just writes a shit article, like, oh, whatever, we'll just stop at it and we'll protect you. But on YouTube, yeah, like, that's your word. Like, we watched you, unlike a YouTuber, oh, I've been watching you for 5 years, and, like, you lied to me. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll have to hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah. And absolutely, like, honestly, I think that's a good point. Because they will sit there and they think they're superior because they worked hard to get to that platform, or they believe they did. So their words should immediately be a lot more better than anyone who just worked from the beginning. Hell, there's people who work in, like, marketing for companies like Pepsi. They have, and I've seen this a couple of times too, they've had disdain for people who make their own soda.
What?
Yeah, they're like, because they believe that they work so hard to get into the position they're in the marketing of a drink company, that normal people who make their own businesses from scratch, like, yeah, I have a small soda company. Would you like that? They will go, ew, no thanks. Like, they're like, they put themselves to the position they're in, that they now have essentially this loyalty to it because it's just superior. That's why like everybody wants to work for, like when we were growing up, it was like I can't wait for working for Blizzard or Nintendo or Sega or whatever, because to them that was the pinnacle. I don't need to work my way up from the dirt because there's something already away from the dirt I can get to. You know, why should I build my own hut when there's a castle right fucking there? That's basically how they see that.
Oh, okay.
You know, like these smaller businesses are huts. They're not titans. They're not anything worth building because the castle's right there. Why would you build anything when you already have the empire right there? I'm going with the empire. This is the same. Like, there's a lot of stories back when we were kids that are like that. You know, like I don't know why the first thing that comes up to my head is Shark Tale. I want to be on the top of the reef. Why can't I be there? I'm down here with the mud. It's the same mentality. You know, why can't I be up there with the rest of the real journalism? Because reporting on anything on down here, gross. I shouldn't have to touch this stuff. I shouldn't have to be on the ground. I should be up there telling you what I see from up there because my perspective would be better.
Then don't, because you'll have like YouTubers who come in and eat their lunch and they get so fucking mad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the point. Like they'll come in and be like, hey guys, you know, like legitimately in our state there is a local brand, and I'm not going to say it too much but there's a local soda brand, because the reason I use that runs circles around Pepsi in several key areas of the state. The only reason why Pepsi still dominates and Coke still dominates is because the inner cities that they can't get into because the sizes are just too small to get their soda in, because Pepsi and Coke basically bought up whatever space they have.
Yeah.
But like in any rural or suburban areas, dude, they just run circles. They're just like, not only they got that local pride, but they also got like, it's just better ingredients.
Yeah.
And they are a little bit more expensive, but they are naturally better. They just taste better, dude. Like they're just really good.
It also brings them back to like, they should just get rid of like maximum and minimum word requirements and just have them report stuff, because a lot of the times it's just like useless bloat.
Oh yeah,
and then
dude,
like there's like one paragraph like way at the bottom that says like, yeah, this is what really happened. Like,
yeah. Well, they even do a lot of opinion pieces disguised as a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
pisses me off too.
And it's
well,
just
because like what you got to look for is because like if you don't know an example, just look at recipes. If you want to get a recipe, there's like this huge list of like, oh, my grandma and how she used to make apple pie.
There's times and then they'll tell a whole story because that's what they have to do.
And then like way in the bottom there's like the recipe.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you just have to pour water in a glass, and I'll tell you what's the rest of my. Follow me for more recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've seen that a lot, and honestly, because I've done experiments, and especially with my other business, I look up a lot of stuff with flavors and stuff too. It's really hard to find anything that resonates with things. It's like, oh, you want to have something that complements guava? Well, let me tell you a story about the history of guava. I don't care for that. If I wanted that, I would look up the history of guava.
That's because they want you to click and scroll through ads.
Yep,
that's why.
That's exactly what it is. And I think that's why it's killing it, when you can just go on YouTube and some dude with like a weird disheveled beard is going to be like, I'm going to tell you how to make guava moonshine. I don't make guava moonshine. But he's going to do it. And he's just going to go straight at it. And he's going to tell you which type of guava to look for. You like look for these colors in this one, and you can tell by this way. I'm like, oh, hell yeah! Like he will show you that crap because that's his business. That is what he's gonna do. You know? Hell, there's a YouTube channel called Steady Crafting. That's actually a good example of that. A lot of journalism will cover up, how you can do things, and let me tell you about how resin works. This dude goes like, here's resin, here's some deadlier resin, and here's what you can put in these resins and blah, blah, blah. And you gotta make sure these type of compounds work together and make sure you pour it into this one, and that's it. Like he just goes through several series of different ways to use resin instead of tell me the history of resin every single time you're gonna tell me how to do things. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not clicking on your shit.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so bad that that's why companies are... Dude, we've had so many people step down from places like CNN, Fox News, and CNBC. You've had people like, what was his name? Chris Cuomo, who was like this constant guy that's like a waffling, stupid political hack. And then we have places like Kotaku and Jezebel and stuff. A lot of these older, like these like femme fatale gamer sites all just die. And now Kotaku and IGN are like the last titans alive. And neither one of them are willing to write their guides because they have stupid editors-in-chiefs that have enough big egos that you would think they wouldn't have failed an OnlyFans page. Let's just say that, you know? Like, they literally have nothing. And they're like, let's just make something that people would want to click on. Guides will make them still scroll through, right? Right? That's one thing. Like, no, what they really need is me to tell them how awful they are. I'm like, that's not going to help you, Alyssa. Literally telling people that is never going to help you. And it's their egos, you know? Yeah. Like... I've seen some stuff, and I'm pretty sure some people have seen me like clown on some people on like social media because I don't know. I should stay away from it sometimes, but there was I'm like that bastard's dumb. Like, that's just yikes, my friends. But you know, like it's honestly, the more I think about it, I think they do it intentionally because it's the only way to validate their importance.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they try to sue people. It's why they try to fucking, like, rules for thee, but not for me type of situation. These people can't make a list. These people can't make a list, but I will make a list of all the people you should be aware of, even though these people didn't do it, and even these people, when they leak lists, that's somehow targeted harassment or whatever. You know, like, it's a constant back and forth, and they're trying to just start crap so they could be in the center of attention, so they could grift on all these YouTube channels and be on all these channels. They're like, oh, what it's like to be harassed, but really, dude, most of it's always going to be
someone was mean to me online.
Yeah, like. It's basically that. And sometimes if they need evidence, they will make their own account and then present it as like, see what happened to me, and then they're like, that dude just made a sock account. It might be yours, you know, like. Hell, remember when Brianna Wu made a thing about it on the old Gamergate? She made a very decorative like threat to herself, but forgot to log out of her main account, and it just kind of caught like she got caught with her hands in the cookie jar basically. And honestly, it's the same tactics. It's legitimately the same tactics. And honestly, I think now that the death throes are literally happening to journalism like it wasn't happening in 2014, they're more desperate to say some stuff. They're more desperate to try to poke and agitate somebody so they can sue them, so they get that money in case their company goes belly up. Because they're going to. Yeah. Because no one's writing their guides like they're supposed to. You know? And honestly, the whole Stellar Blade thing was a big example of that, right? Like, not just like what was it, Michael Kevin Kern? I forgot his name. Mm-hmm. But there was several other people like calling out the censorship, and the thing is, the journals would only like harp on the fact, oh, you guys don't just want this sexiness because you guys can't blah 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 blah.
It's censored, and I'm happy,
literally the first time the censorship happened was because the word hard was graffitied on stuff, and journals lost their minds until it was changed. They're like, oh, now it's nice, but you're the ones that freaked out first, you know, and they still didn't change that. And I don't think, like, legitimately, way Sony's been going, I don't think they're going to change a lot of that stuff. But the way I see it is, you need to nip it in the bud now, because they will keep doing it. And the people who are pro-censorship are going to be like, I love it when you guys are all upset because I get to write content for you on you guys because you guys are losers. And me up here in this fake-ass tower can tell you that, and you can't do anything about it. So the weird thing pushback is quite literally encapsulated this whole scenario.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is that like they're so against their own consumer base. Like, why the fuck are you guys even here? Because when Like they cheered when Stellar Blade got censored, and then when it got uncensored, they were really upset about it.
Well, they were more upset that they won.
Yeah,
they won. Than the fact that like, oh, they changed all this. They're like, oh, I guess a boss mode's good and all, but they changed these, so I really hate the game now. I was like, so you're just a hypocrite then?
Yeah. Well, your customer base got what they wanted. Why are you upset? Shouldn't you be?
Well, it's not even the company that's asking that. It's the journalism.
Oh, I know.
That. Yeah.
But the gamers are their customer base. Like, yeah. It's so weird. And like, why do you guys have conflicting interests if you guys don't even want to be like? Don't take the job off. Don't take the job if you can't stand your customer base.
I think they're trying to bolster. Like, I think it goes back to what I said. I think they're trying to just start shit so they could have people upset, so they could play the victim card, so everyone's clicking on their fucking link. That's what it is. I'm almost willing to bet that. I'm almost willing to bet that people like Alyssa do really enjoy like Stellar Blade if they are gamers. I don't think Alyssa is.
Oh, okay.
Let's legitimately, I don't think she's picked up a single game at all. Like, she'll see some kind of like screen text of something that's naughty. She's like, hee, I like this because it makes my almonds activated or whatever, you know. Like, but fundamentally, if she did play a game, she probably enjoyed the ones she hates, but she still hates on them because she has an image to maintain and she has a job to try to protect, even though she's already failed on her own. Like, imagine failing OnlyFans. Like, that's how bad you are. Like, you could have written a guide there and you still messed it up. You know? Like, that's how, like, but fundamentally, I think a lot of journalists are like that. I think they literally think that they're so superior that it would be damning if they found out that they like the same content these dregs like. You know, that's why they hate anime too. Like animes and lollies and stuff like that, they hate absolutely, like, vehemently. But like, they're like, it's just characters. Do what? And they're like, oh, it's disgusting. Like, anime, you might as well just be a certain file. You know, like that. No, it's just anime, dude. Like, that's why they hate anime-based RPGs and stuff. Like, they genuinely hate them, but that's because they probably don't play games.
Yeah.
You know? Like, fundamentally, some of those anime games are anime as fuck, are just boring. You know? Just genuinely boring. They just drag on. Like, all the Sword Art games, they just drag on. And they're never really, like, they never get, like, more engaging. They just drag.
Yeah, but like, you know, but you don't become a JRPG journalist. You're like, yeah. Well, that's like, I'll pass it down to somebody else. That's
basically it. Yeah,
you don't see infuriating.
You don't see me making this a JRPG YouTube where I just poop on stuff. Yeah. No, like, JRPGs are for the people who like the JRPGs and they want to, like, lift them up and stuff. Yeah. Like Kevin Street. Yeah, we haven't made it name drop like that for a while. You're welcome, Kevin. But that's my point. Like, that's literally what they are. Like, if I wanted to report on something, I'd be reporting on something I would enjoy. Yeah. Why would I always constantly put myself in a position that I'm always bitter? You know? Like, if I was Alyssa and I was as bitter as she was, I'd probably have already invested in like 13 cats.
Yeah.
You know? Like, my house would smell like ammonia to a point where they would probably have to level the whole apartment complex just to clean that one. Like, for real, that's how bitter these little bastards are. And it's not just like Kotaku. It's a bunch of like there's a bunch of people who are even like retired, like, editors-in-chiefs of other companies that IGN even bought.
Yeah.
You know?
But hey, investment is drying up and they don't have to do it anymore, so yay!
They're all Magikarps doing splash attacks. Like, that's all it is. It's just a bunch of them doing absolutely nothing. And meanwhile, you have, like, citizen journalism that's like... you can even be one channel specifically on TikTok. You know? Mm-hmm. And you still dominate. Yeah. Like, there's this one dude who did a lot of, like, connecting to how many companies, how many brands are actually owned by companies that are actually owned by another corporation, and how many choices you really actually have. And then you look at this dude even broke down the chemical compounds. Like, this company sells you this shampoo that makes you lose your hair, also owns Rogaine.
Yeah.
You know, like, he is only on TikTok, and he's blowing the hell up. There's Chris Mekris or something like that, some Canadian stylist. She was a hairstylist, became a huge entertainer on TikTok too.
Yeah.
And then eventually moved to like YouTube and like expanded. But if she covered more stuff before, she would be a better journalist than most of these journalists.
Well, it brings back to memeology as well too, because when you see the headline type of stuff, which could be answered within like a sentence, that's all he does too, and eating up their lunches.
Yeah,
and
dude,
the only reason why he's not big is because YouTube keeps censoring him.
Yeah,
because like
he keeps shutting them down.
He takes their article and just makes a headline of it, and it gets straight to the fucking point.
And then points out the weird connections between the two. Like, that's a weird thing to say about that. Right, video? And then puts up a clip that just completely contradicts the like statement that was made in the actual journalistic opinion piece or article or whatever.
But you can't do that, because I spent 8 years at a university, and I have the authority, not you.
Yeah. Well, dude, the people who used to do the like E3 reviews, like who really won E3, like that's the whole reason why a lot of console wars even started, because there was a lot of journalists who always like bolstered people's like tribalism. It's like, who really won E3 this year? Who should it be? Well, if you think about it, it's actually Sony, because all the graphics they pushed out today on this year. And meanwhile, Nintendo with their GameCube is so kiddie. And that's like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you can literally just watch live reaction videos of those people watching whatever, like, State of Play, Nintendo Direct, E3 presentation, what have you, and listen to somebody's natural response and understand, like, you can tell the guys, like the State of Play we covered recently. It was just, like, a lot of people like, what? Oh, God, yeah, Monster Hunter Runner. Yeah, dude, I'm so psyched about that. Dude, what's this? Concord. Is it like some of them thought it was Apex Legends, so this like it's stuff like that, right? They're like, yeah, Apex Legends, I guess. I don't know, I don't care. And it was like, oh, it's a new game. What? So I guess we could be excited about that, but dude, it looks so much like Apex Legends. Like, you can tell like these guys' natural responses are like trying to process this stuff, and the natural, like, as cringe as these reaction videos are, they're far more truthful than anything you would read in some journalistic click. Like, legitimately. You know? Like, that's just how cringe a lot of it is. But reaction videos do so much better for them. Like, just somebody going, here's my live reaction of the next Nintendo Direct. And that just destroys any Kotaku, any IGN coverage, any Bloomberg thing, because apparently Bloomberg covers video games. Who knew? That's weird.
It's almost as if they like their games.
Yeah, right? Like they're willing to actually watch it and then react through it, because that's their investment. Meanwhile, a lot of these journalists probably just like read highlights like, oh, I guess Mario's back again. Ho hum. You know?
I also think it's also like they divide it up into like certain things. So it's like, Chris plays sports games and Jennifer plays only puzzle games. But since this is like a sports puzzle game, we'll give it to Jennifer. And Chris really, really wanted to do it, but we'll just give it to her because he's writing more articles anyways. Like that's all it is. It's just work. Like, they don't give a shit.
I remember doing reviews for a Nintendo site. Well, it was a video game site, but I did primarily the Nintendo side, and they would submit for free copies, review copies of games, and they would only do it for the Xboxes and PS2s because I already had, quote unquote, enough games that I can review off of. Like, that's literally how these things like go off of, and like some of these people just didn't care.
Yeah, or somebody is like, well, you've written 12 articles, and you get one a month. So, and Susie is behind her quota, so we're gonna give her the really, really, really big one. that she doesn't care or will never touch, but she'll do our big AAA one that
she's gonna cover
completely hates.
She's gonna cover the major event for Mortal Kombat. She's not a huge fighting game fan. She doesn't really like gore or anything, but she's really behind, and we kind of need her to give her a leg up. And then like she writes the worst possible article for it.
Maybe she go do something else.
Yeah. So that's another reason why these YouTube channels are just destroying them, because when you go to a site like us, or you go to Kevin Street, or you go to like Twitter, Clownfish, Memology, like any of these guys, right? You're going to them for their specific takes on very specific stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what they're known for. Why would somebody like Clownfish, who does comics primarily, go and like, you know what? We should talk about farming. You know, like that makes no damn sense.
Yeah.
You know? And Kevin's not going to play any Bing Wahoos. He's like, no. I do not press A to jump. We are not doing this here at this channel. We are pressing A to ignite a special move and gain experience, and that's how we're going to do things. And people will go there to see that. You know, that's how that works. That's how actual like citizen journalism works. People will come to us because reasons. We cover a lot of things, but I hope that we will be more entertaining.
We like you guys, and we like games. Like this is
that's basically it. Like we don't get paid much. We don't work hard on this a lot. Like it's not like we're being lazy. It's just that we don't have much time. We have a lot of like other background stuff that we like to try to get done and stuff. And honestly, when we come and do this is we enjoy doing this. You know, we just cover some stuff, share our opinions, and carry on. Like you could join us with this ride. You know, we're just talking about games. Honestly, if part of me just feels like we're the type of group that would be more like the casual conversation. You know, kind of like the old was it the old G4 one where they had like a group of people that would always chat about all the games and stuff, and that was it. Yeah. You know, all the new games, and they're talking about. I mean, a lot of that was scripted, but this is more of what we do instead. You know? So. But yeah, anything else on the journalism for you?
They're all hacks.
They're all hacks, dude. All of them. Dude, none of them wants to write their guys because they think their egos are way too precious to break. But yeah, they're just all hacks. But they're dying, and they're all gonna collapse, and everything will be great. We're just gonna sit there and watch how everyone else's citizen journalism will grow, and we'll respond to them accordingly. And that's that, you know? So, with that ado, let's all celebrate our individuality, and thank you all for joining us on this wonderful little trip as we celebrate the death of journalism. If you like our content, feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And, of course, as always, we will see you on the other side. Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.